Coming up, Asuka escapes a mall shooting, Edge and Booker T address Royal Rumble rumors, and is Kenny Omega losing power in All Elite Wrestling?
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Midweek Mecha News. I am Luke Owen. We sadly start this episode with a very serious story. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police are currently investigating a shooting that took place at the Fashion Show Mall on Tuesday night, which saw 3 people injured with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Our thoughts here at WrestleTalk go out to all of those affected by this incident. And thankfully we can say that one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, Asuka, was not one of those hurt in the shooting. Asuka tweeted that she was there at the Fashion Show Mall, saying that she heard screams before escaping into the outlet guest to hide, adding that she heard more screams while inside the store, replying to NXT's Killian Dane and Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura that she was okay. Fightful report that Asuka is still scheduled to take on Becky Lynch this Sunday at the Royal Rumble for the Raw Women's Championship, and in amongst her tweets about the shooting, Asuka retweeted promotional material for the Rumble. And now I've got to make an awkward gear change from the super serious real life stuff into the wacky world of pro wrestling. So to help us out, here's Jon Moxley singing Sweet Caroline on the Jericho Cruise.
Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. Good times never seem so good.
Right, so guess we'll move into Royal Rumble rumors. As you're probably all aware, the Royal Rumble is this Sunday night, and as is customary at this point of the calendar year, the rumor mill of who will be in both matches has been churning out more names than you can make a top 10 list about, which we did and you can watch by clicking the eye above my head. Among all of those names, the most consistent has been Edge, the rated R superstar. Made an in-ring return of sorts last year when he delivered a spear to Elias on the pre-show of SummerSlam, and it was then reported by Mike Johnson of PW Insider that Edge was working on a full in-ring return for WWE, which could start at the Royal Rumble. Those rumors were then spurred on when Edge himself posted an Instagram selfie looking in amazing shape. However, Edge has been very clear on denying all of these rumors, and even spoke about them in a recent interview with Live on 4 Legs, saying, "All of these rumors happening that I've been to Pittsburgh and I've been cleared to wrestle again and I've signed a new contract, I have no idea where any of it came from. The last time I was in Pittsburgh, I had my wrist fused in 2013. I haven't signed a contract. I think I would know. I get this tsunami of comments saying, you're coming back, you signed a contract. I'm like, I really haven't. Oh yeah, that's what you would say. Okay, whatever. Well, if you were making an in-ring return, Edge, you would say, oh yeah, that's what you would say. I know your game, bucko. Mike Johnson of PW Insider, however, is quite clear on his position, saying, I stand by my belief. I believe that Adam Copeland will be back on WWE programming by this time next week. Another rumored match for the Royal Rumble. Not that the show needs any more matches, there are far too many currently on a pay-per-view that has 2-hour-long rumbles. Was the Revival versus WWE Hall of Famers Harlem Heat. This again came from Mike Johnson, who said the Revival starting something with Booker T on the TLC pre-show was to sow seeds for a pay-per-view match in Houston where Booker T is somewhat of a celebrity. This possible speculation from Johnson was furthered when it was revealed that WWE had trademarked the name Harlem Heat last week, but it turns out that was for merchandise purposes. As if stoking the rumor fire, Booker himself took to Twitter to correct a WWE on Fox tweet about the best surprise entrant, saying that he will be Rumble ready. But what about everyone's favorite long-standing rumor of the CM Punk in-ring return confirmed? Surely he'll definitely be in the match this Sunday. We've all talked about it so much. Well, some guy named Dan might have ruined the whole thing, tweeting a reply to Fox saying if CM Punk wasn't entering at number 30, does it really matter? To which Punk replied, well, I was gonna be number 28, but since you said it doesn't matter, I'm withdrawing myself from the competition. Oh, good going, Dan. You've now ruined it for everyone. CM Punk in-ring return confirmed. Thank you for your awesome support on Patreon. No one names their kid this anymore. Larry! Moving over to AEW now, and the All Elite crew are currently sailing on a boat with their swim trunks and flippy floppies on Chris Jericho's Rockin' Rager cruise. Tomorrow's Dynamite episode was taped on the cruise, and we'll be going into those results in just a little bit. But there was something said in an offhanded comment sort of way on Wrestling Observer Radio that I believe needs talking about. Dave Meltzer noted that one of the matches that took place the day before the Dynamite taping was a 6-man tag between the Elite and SCU. And after the match, Kenny Omega and Christopher Daniels cut a promo promo where they announced All Elite Wrestling's 6-man tag team championships, which will be crowned in a tournament that will take place on Jericho's cruise next year. And while that is really interesting, as it's the first tease of new titles in AEW, there was something else that Meltzer noted to his co-host Brian Alvarez when he said, Kenny starts talking and says, I have some pull in this company, very little, which is actually a story in itself that I probably shouldn't tell, but he has a little bit of pull in the company. But why is that interesting, I hear you ask? Well, in order to dive into that, let's look at some context. Kenny Omega officially signed with All Elite Wrestling on February 7th last year, where it was announced that he would not only be an in-ring wrestler, but also an executive vice president for the promotion alongside Cody and Matt and Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. It seemed that Omega's first big storyline idea for his character in 2019 was essentially to no longer be the best wrestler in the world, losing to Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing, losing to Pac at All Out, and losing to Jon Moxley at Full Gear. It was a storyline that didn't really work for fans, getting huge criticisms from the likes of Dave Meltzer and other wrestling pundits, including us here at WrestleTalk. That has all turned around in 2020, where following their negative reception to the Dark Order finale on the final episode of Dynamite in 2019, the Elite have been pushed as a top team in AEW, with Omega picking up wins with the Young Bucks and becoming one half of the #1 contenders to the tag titles with Hangman Adam Page, a storyline that I personally think is the best thing in the company right now by some margin. The other aspect of Kenny's AEW 2019 run was his involvement in the women's division, another part of the company that has taken heavy criticism. He told Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio that Brandy Rhodes is very much in charge of the division, but he was pushing for them to sign certain talent like Riho, Emi Sakura, Yuka Sakazaki, and Hikaru Shida. And while many of those talents got over in the early days of Dynamite, AEW Women's Champion Riho had to take a month off from the promotion due to her Stardom bookings, and has been less over with the crowd as a result. Omega also told fans on Wrestling Observer Radio that there would be more signings in 2020 for the women's division, and even teased women's tag team championships, saying the division is going to get more TV time and that was a big priority for him. What's interesting in all of this is a report from Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter last week, where he wrote regarding the AEW booking, which has come together better over the last 3 weeks. Tony Khan took more control after the negativity from the Dark Order angle. And there was also that report from Rover that said Tony Khan had buyer's remorse over some early AEW signings. So with all of this in mind, Kenny Omega making a joke about how he has little pull in the company, and Dave Meltzer saying there is a story to that he shouldn't be telling, is Kenny Omega losing his position of power in All Elite Wrestling? Now, I'm just playing YouTube detective here and I don't have an inside track. I'm just giving my thoughts on what this situation could be. But I'd be really curious to know what you think about this story in the comments down below. So let me know, as I'll be replying to people from my desk where I work. Blimey, all of that was a bit serious as well. Quick, Moxley, save us with your dulcet tones.
Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. Your time never seems so good.
Ah, that's better.
Support Celtic Warrior workouts and give me a subscribe. Oh, and also support WrestleTalk and give them a subscribe.
Tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite was taped ahead of time on the Chris Jericho cruise, which saw Jon Moxley take on Pac for their AEW World Championship #1 contendership, Britt Baker versus Priscilla Kelly, Joey Janela versus MJF, a 6-man tag between Inner Circle and Jurassic Express, and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus SCU for the AEW Tag Team Championships. And let it be known that AEW have gone to great lengths to make sure this footage from the cruise makes it back home, with Wrestling Observer Live revealing that All Elite Wrestling had 2 master copies of the show, which were flown out on separate planes back to Atlanta, as if to alleviate this potential problem for next year, as Cody confirmed that AEW will be part of the 3rd Jericho cruise, which will be in 2021. AEW Dynamite will instead go live from the Jericho cruise. And we're now about to jump into the spoiler room brawl for tonight's episode of Dynamite. So if you do want to stay spoiler free, then I suggest heading over to another great WrestleTalk video, maybe that fun Royal Rumble prediction video that we put so much effort into yesterday. This is your final warning. We're about to head into the spoiler room brawl in 3, 2, oh my god, someone got eaten by a shark, just kidding. 1. The show opens with a tag title match, which reports say went around 30 minutes and was great. And in a first for AEW history, a title changed hands as Kenny Omega and Hangman Page picked up the tag straps. In an interesting detail, Hangman essentially won the match on his own after Omega was taken out by SCU, and after the match celebrated with fans rather than the Young Bucks and Kenny in the ring. Dave Meltzer has speculated that we could see Hangman and Omega versus the Young Bucks at Revolution next month. Britt Baker continued the teaser of a heel turn when she dragged the hair of Priscilla Kelly, and then turned fully heel by cutting a promo on Tony Schiavone after the match to reportedly amazing heat from the crowd. Marco Stunt was apparently very over in the 6-man tag against Inner Circle, but took the pin for Chris Jericho. MJF defeated Joey Janela and then had an in-ring segment with Cody, which led to the Young Bucks super kicking MJF, who then threw him into the pool. And the main event saw Jon Moxley beat Pac to become the #1 contender and had a stare down with Jericho to close the show. However, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer have said that some editing could take place on the show, as it did go longer than the 2-hour total. And there was a moment in the match where both Moxley and Pac laid down for about 4 minutes talking with the ref. And the weirdness didn't stop there, as at the start of the main event, because it ran longer than perhaps planned, a boat pulled in and blocked the view of one of the cruisers watching the show, leading to fans loudly chanting "F your boat." Alvarez says that at one point the crowd was so distracted by the boat that Pac stopped wrestling to point to himself, point at Mox, and shrug his shoulders as if to ask why the crowd weren't focusing on them. Alvarez isn't sure how much of this will be in the show, but noted that it was very distracting. Watch our Royal Rumble predictions in our new video style format that we're super proud of and think is a lot of fun, so click the video on screen right now. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon pledge hammers, some of which you can see scrolling their way into my stomach. I've been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.